Yeah, buddy.
Welcome back to the Lost in Stupidity podcast. I'm your host, Turner the Burner. In studio with me, I got one Will Hillbilly hired.
Yes, sir, the one and only.
Often duplicated, never replicated. And sitting across from me is one Bailey Joe Hickman. How are you, sir?
I am sadly not caffeinated, but I am here.
That Joker, he only runs on high octane.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, buddy.
If you don't know what Star Blast Bang is, you have not felt life.
Hey, Will already quoted him. Let's do one for Ronnie Coleman. He's at the time of this recording, he's been going through some health issues. God bless that man. Let me do one real quick. Yeah, buddy.
Lightweight, baby. Everybody want to be a bodybuilder.
Don't
Nobody want to lift these heavy butt weights.
Amen.
Welcome back, guys. As usually, we are your usual blend of stupidity and weaponized autism. But
Amen. We don't know which one we are more.
Unregistered.
Unregistered. Hey, it's story time again today. We know y'all all love urban legends and stories. We know y'all love the Bigfoot episode, so we're gonna dive into a couple more urban legends. And this one, as long as I have been friends with Mr. Hickman, he's told me this story, and this one might be a bit more frightening because it's actually true. So, Bailey, explain to the world about the giant spiders of Africa.
All right. So, in the land of cryptids, if you are familiar with those, known colloquially or locally, or however you want to say it, known in the Congo area as the J'ba Fofi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is
I'm already terrified.
Supposedly a giant spider that lives in the heart of Africa, the Congo. So this is an extremely dense, just rainforest, jungle, crazy thing. And I'll tell you, it's hard to study. There have been people who have done it. There's a lot of literature out there. There's a lot of crazy species out there. It is such a unique ecosystem that it in and of itself, you start at one end of it, you find something completely different. You go to the other side of it and you're like, this looks like nothing we've already studied in the same forest or the same jungle. There have been people that have been studying it for years. It is hard to get in there right now because the Republic of Congo is in a constant civil war and has been, I think, for like 30 years. Again, I'm lost in stupidity, so I may have that wrong. But there have been
we generalize a lot here.
We generalize a lot. There's been a lot of fighting in the Congo. And so, man, you can't get research trips in there of a bunch. Allegedly, as the legends go, there have been spiders the size anywhere between a puppy. So we're talking, 12 to 15 inches, which isn't unheard of. If you go find the giant huntsman spider in Australia, they can get pretty close to that.
Is that the spider that'll eat birds?
Yes. Yeah. There's the bird-eating tarantula.
There's
a bird-eating tarantula, and then there's also the giant huntsman. I think the giant huntsman's a little bit bigger. But in the same vein. In the same vein as the bird-eating tarantula. We're talking about a massive, butt. I know. The heebie-jeebies.
Got the heebie-jeebies.
Giant arachnids.
But that's the small end. The large end, we are talking about the span of their legs. So, you have the, on a spider's anatomy, you have, obviously 8 legs. We all learned that in middle school. You have the, cephalothorax, which just
go outside, nerd. I don't got time for your useless Chinese.
The cephalothorax, and there's also another name that escapes me right now. But anyways, it is, in like here's the little biology lesson. In an insect, you have a 3-segmented body. You have the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. In the spider, you have a 2-segmented body. So you have the cephalothorax, cephalo meaning head, thorax being the upper chest, and they're molded together. And then you have the abdomen on the end. big part where, the silk comes out, where the spider web comes out. And we're talking.
You didn't know we had a redneck Forrest Galante on our staff.
Yeah, super redneck.
Continue.
Man,
Go
super
ahead.
redneck.
Continue. I'm sorry.
Anyways, but so we're talking about the diameter that would include the legs. We're talking about 6 feet in diameter. So,
Oh Lord,
we're talking about.
Oh, it gets worse.
We're talking about a spider that could potentially, the body and the cephalothorax and the abdomen could be the size of a medium-sized dog. And you're like, man, this is crazy. There's no way. Well, yeah. I mean, there could be no way. Could be a way. There's always a way. To quote Jurassic,
Yeah, right.
Jurassic Park.
life finds
a way.
Well, and I'll let you break down. I want you to break down the science a little bit of how this could be possible in modern day. There are 2 accounts, because after hearing this story from Bailey, I've researched it a bit myself. And, excuse me, there are 2 accounts. You can go find these, and the names escape me at the moment. I apologize. I didn't take good notes today. There are written accounts, at least 2, from missionaries to the Congo.
Mm-hmm.
One story is Gesundheit. One story is missionaries, they're going through the jungle and coming to a place where the entire forest floor up into the trees everywhere was covered in massive spider webs. I mean, far bigger than any norm. Again, it would have taken like a 5 or 6 foot spider to create one of these.
Yes. The other one,
yes,
and I have his name, is
Yep.
a British explorer from the 1930s named Reginald, and I'm guessing his wife, Marguerite Lloyd,
Yep.
who were in the Congo. And while they were going through, and I've heard varying accounts of this,
Sure.
but I've heard that they were either walking through or that they were driving a truck, but that they encountered something big and just kind of shrugged it off.
Yeah.
And then as they got closer, they realized that it was a spider and it took off. And they estimated that the foot span, what we were talking about, that diameter, was between 4 and 5 feet.
Yeah.
And again, we're not talking about like, there's, this is hundreds of years old from, a society that just passes things down orally,
Are you right? Are you okay over there?
Hopefully not.
The spiders are getting to him.
I guess so. Are you allergic to spiders?
Allergic to the stupidity I'm lost in.
I guess so.
Shout out to the podcast.
Can I get you anything? Cyanide, some duct tape?
A lobotomy? You got any of those laying around?
Fresh out, buddy. Fresh out.
So-
Continue, Bailey.
The spider, and again, there's varying accounts. Some of them say the young ones in some of these accounts are purple. And there is a crab. Now, this crab, this is the giant coconut crab. And this is a huge crab. We're talking, it's not the biggest crab. The biggest crab is the Japanese spider crab, which...
Yeah, they're scary too.
Yeah, those things do have a diameter of like 6 feet.
They look like aliens.
They look like aliens. And the reason they survive is because they're in the water.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of a biology lesson. Forgive me, I'm a little fuzzy. I know all the biologists who are probably not listening to us because this
I
is
was
a
about to
stupidity
say.
podcast.
I was about to say.
If you have more than if you have a lot of education, you're probably not listening to us.
The only educated person that's listening to this might be Dr. Burke.
There you go. Well, if he wants to correct me, he's welcome to. So a little anatomy lesson on bugs. And look, according to the fossil record, believe what you may about that. I'm not calling about anybody's opinion on it, whatever you want to believe. There is fossil record of dragonflies that
Absolutely.
have a wingspan of 2 feet.
Yeah.
We're
Massive.
talking massive dragonflies.
Yeah.
We know in the fossil record that there are large insects. Or if you want to debate creation versus evolutionism of when they existed, I don't care. That's not what I'm here. I'm here about talk about what's still here today.
Sure.
What biologists, especially entomologists, say is that look, you can't really get a super big bug because of the change in oxygen in our atmosphere. So if you are interested in dinosaurs, you'll hear him talk about, well, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, there was a more oxygen rich atmosphere. Right now, I think it's 23% of our atmosphere is oxygen.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Sounds right anyway.
Yeah, it sounds good for loss of stupidity. It was higher. It was, closer to 30%.
Sure.
The way that bugs breathe, and I know this is super nerdy, they don't have lungs, quote unquote. They have spiracles in their sides, and they breathe through diffusion. So if you've ever, put food coloring in water and you watched that food coloring spread out, and if you just put one drop, maybe it won't change. It'll just kind of tint the water. It's diffusing. Those molecules are going all the way out to the water. Well, kind of the opposite in a bug. The air is going through spiracles, and then it is actually oxygenating its blood inside. So it has to passively get in. Well, what that does is that reduces the size you can get in a bug, because you're not like, we are actively taking air in and out, doing exchange in our lungs, right? They have to have air passively get into them. So the larger bug you get, the slower it moves. So if you go from a little jumping spider, man, they're quick. Or you go to like a fly, you can barely catch him. If you go to the Hercules beetle, this dude doesn't move.
Right.
He slowly tumbles and bumbles his way through life.
Right.
So there's a limiting factor just by the air in the atmosphere of how big a bug can get, or an arachnid. I have a hypothesis. Again, I may be completely wrong. I'm a biologist. I'm not a chemist. I'm not a physicist. We all know that, the majority of oxygen in our atmosphere is brought to us by plant life. As actually, the majority of it's actually brought to us by algae in the ocean. Fun fact for you. But trees still generate a large amount of oxygen.
You tracking over there, Will? You taking notes?
Yeah, I'm writing it all down.
There we go. If to me, in theory, and again, I haven't tested this, I think it's fascinating. To me, at least it's a fun story.
Sure.
Because again, I don't do this for a living. So I do construction. I can just think about this stuff. It doesn't apply to me. To me, if you had such a dense jungle like the Congo, is it possible that you could have pockets of atmosphere that have a higher oxygen rich environment?
One would think. And again, now granted, I'm more forestry background, but it makes sense. I don't know if it, again.
I don't know if it tracks. It's an interesting idea.
It's an interesting idea.
To just further that argument, what if you have spiders that do have some type of rudimentary lungs? What if you have spiders that have some way of getting oxygen in faster? If you have cells that have evolved to the point that, if you have these spiracles that are like little tubes along the side of the body of the bug.
Yeah.
So in theory, if they could contract and force air in, then you could get a bigger bug.
Can I do my Joe Rogan impersonation? That is bananas.
So, and again, it's all a hypothesis. Nobody's even caught one. There is a very interesting night camera footage from some hiker that went in the Congo and put a trail camera up.
What?
And it is weird, dude. This footage, again,
Jamie, pull that up.
Jamie, Joe Rogan. But,
Chris, pull that up.
There is, we talk about Bigfoot. There's a ton of videos. I love that argument of if there was a Bigfoot, people would take a video of it. There are.
Yeah, well, that's another. Yeah,
there's a bunch.
There's a bunch.
Again, no conclusive, but
they don't make. Yeah, they don't make sense.
They don't make sense. But there is a video of this nighttime. You guys have seen night pictures on a game camera where it's kind of that black and white, and there is something in the corner at the base of a tree.
I've seen this. I faintly remember this now.
And if you watch it, here's what I want you to envision for those just listening.
Yep.
If you've ever seen Return of the King, the Lord of the Rings movie.
Yes.
Where Shelob is behind Frodo and you just see the legs move.
Yep.
That's what it looks like is happening beside the tree. And then it disappears.
I'm out. I'm done. I'm done.
That is interesting.
I stuck around for Dog Man. I made it through Bigfoot. I'm done with the giant spider. I'm checking out.
And again, man, look,
But isn't to this day? Don't they still? Isn't it like in their local folklore? Don't they talk about this to this day?
There are some tribes. There are a bunch of tribes that talk about it. There are a bunch of tribes that talk about it. There are some. Again, you're talking about a very. It's hard to get to these people. It's hard to understand these people.
Yeah.
Some of them are
right.
It's like South America. Some of them are untouched.
Yeah.
They had a documentary back when we were kids on, I think it was Discovery Channel or National Geographic, where they went and interviewed some of these tribes. At that time, this is the early 2000s, they were building their huts and had been for years 6 feet off the ground for this reason.
Oh my word!
Wow.
They said that it hadn't happened in like 30 years, but they were still doing it. They had grandparents who had lost children, and the reason was given. And they said, "Well, what did they lose them to?" They said, "Giant spiders."
Oh no! Oh no!
I mean, you're talking about a culture who changed their architecture for a myth. Now, you can be a professor all you want. You can sit in your white ivory tower of education and say that I'm crazy. But you're talking about a whole culture that changed their architecture for a myth.
That's heavy.
If I lived there,
that's heavy.
Shoot, I'd be building mine 6 feet off the ground too.
No doubt.
Had me a Mossberg 500 by the doorway too.
Golly.
What do you think it'd take down a giant spider? You think slugs or you think buckshot would be enough?
I mean, I would think a spider's still a spider. I think he's kind of soft,
I think
it's an
3.5
exoskeleton.
inch
Yeah.
double lock buck ought to do it.
Yeah, I think if you could get through that carapace, that it's sort of a keratin based, sort of leathery hide.
And you've lost us.
See, I find it interesting, your theory on like a rich oxygen atmosphere, because I do know due to like terrain and whatnot, there are naturally occurring oxygen deficient atmospheres. I never thought about an oxygen rich atmosphere.
So if there's
that is a good point.
If there's naturally, I mean, what is it? The law in physics that says every action must have an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Balance.
So if there's an oxygen deficient spot, in theory, there could be an oxygen rich spot.
I know, like a lot of those oxygen deficiencies will occur in like caves, and I'm not even talking like deep underground caves. I'm talking about just somewhere you can tuck off and lay down and go to sleep. No oxygen at the floor.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And you
begs the question.
It begs the question.
To sleep.
Well, and if you had just a little bit richer oxygen atmosphere. And then, like I said, some type of development where cells evolve in such a crazy way. Like again, not without getting in the creation versus evolution side of it.
Sure.
Just like one of my favorite topics when I was in college was like sea sponges. Sea sponges, even to the evolutionary side, have never evolved into anything.
They're horseshoe crabs.
Yeah, horseshoe crabs have been around a long time. Like they're just a dead end. They're just like, no, we stopped, dude. And like, if I remember right, sponges have 3 cells in the whole body. Yeah. And the one cell will differentiate into the other 2. And then that cell kind of stays as like a stem cell where it can kind of become anything, but it'll only do one of the 2 sponges. But they will know when a red tide is coming. And you can actually tell when a red tide is coming by looking at the sea sponges.
That's interesting.
But they've never evolved. So I'm like, you have cells that can modify and change themselves in such a simple creature, biologically speaking. Why not in something like a spider?
Sure.
Like we've said previously, there's something about this old dirt.
There's something about
it.
I'll tell you this. So not to give a shameless plug to my own YouTube channel, but
please do, sir. Please do.
Is Biology with BJ. And it is just shorts. That's all I do. And my goal is to catalog as many critters as I can. So if I can try to differentiate what they are scientifically, let me tell you, go find a bug out there and look up what it is. Unless it is extremely common, you will have a heck of a time.
To that end, go ahead, and I'll go on my tangent.
I was just saying, it's because there's so many out there, but also there's no research to be done here. Yes, Mississippi State does it. They do some really cool research.
Sure.
But there's no money to be had in this.
Right.
And if it's not like a weevil that's killing crops, go out there and try to tell me what type of caterpillar that is. Go out there and try to differentiate huntsman spiders or try to differentiate house spiders. Dude, it is, and you'll see on some of my YouTube videos, I go, look, I think it's this. I can't guarantee it's this. Mainly because even the reference, dude, I have reference books, and the last update that was put in the reference book was 1840s.
Oh my goodness.
Because that was the last person to see whatever it was and the last person to take a drawing of it. There's no pictures of it.
See, and to that same point, we run into this, and you being a biologist and myself, a little bit of background. So my grandfather, I'm kind of a self-taught naturalist, if you will. My grandfather being very knowledgeable of local plants and animals and whatnot. And even though he hated them, he was very good at identifying snakes.
Yes.
To this same point, in our area of Mississippi, and I'm above average on identifying snakes. The same, what we would call, what is a copperhead? The same copperhead, well, that's a bad example. Let me give you another one. The cottonmouth, that's a better example. The water moccasin.
Yeah.
The same species of water moccasin can look like 3 different snakes.
Oh, yeah.
And the old timers, that's why a lot of times you read back and you hear, well, it was a cottonmouth. Well, it was a pilot. Well, it was a highland moccasin. And in actuality, these are all the same snakes, but a cottonmouth living in a drier climate up on a hill.
Same species.
Same species, but he has his pattern is very prominent. He's, know, browns and tans versus that one living in a swamp is black and almost like green looking like a swamp monster.
The Carolina mantis, which is one that we have around here. If you ever caught a big praying mantis that's like 2 to 3 inches long,
right,
you will find some of them, and these are adults. Now like nymphs, with in the life cycle of an insect, a nymph. Oh, dude, that's almost impossible to tell because everything looks the same.
Yeah,
but a grown adult of the same species can be completely camouflaged. I mean, it looks like I've got one on my YouTube. It looks like real tree camo.
Yeah. The
same species can be bright green.
Yeah.
And it just depends on whenever that last stage is, what they're sitting on. That's what blows my mind is I'm like, you can't tell me God didn't make this. Cause like the last thing he sat on, he was like, no, this is what I look like. And they're the same species.
And even, I said cottonmouths, rattlesnakes too.
Yes. Yeah.
A rattlesnake, his color is distinctively different. That's been laying up like on pine straw all his life.
Absolutely.
Almost what we call a yeller look to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's absolutely fascinating how they adapt to their surroundings like that. And
it's crazy all this happened by chance.
Hey, right.
Just like nothing.
Would you look at that?
Would you just look at that?
Just look at that.
It's crazy.
No.
Something came out of nothing.
I like the Larry the Cucumber answer. God went, and there it was.
Well said. Well said.
God is bigger than boogie.
No, we needed that for the Bigfoot episode.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, the J'ba Fofi, man, what a wild cryptid. And again, if you just like cool stories and you like to use your imagination, man, not everything has to be super serious. Again, I love biology. I think it's cool. I think it's cool to think like, hey, maybe something's out there.
Sure. Well, and I think you said it in the other podcast. We think we know everything. We think all the corners of the map are dotted in. There are two instances that come to mind. One off the top of my head. And we have a photograph. The snake. And wasn't it in the Congo as well? The 50-foot snake?
Yes.
Same thing.
It took me a second to remember that. Yes. Same.
You can look this up. There is a photograph of this.
Yes. It was an Air Force, I think a lieutenant colonel maybe.
Yep.
And this is later. This isn't just the 30s. We're talking, I think, the 60s.
Was this like he thought he saw a pathway or something, and all of a sudden it started moving?
Yes.
Dude thought he saw a pathway. Again, he was mapping it out. I'm looking it up right now. In 1959, pilot Remy Van Leerd. So he flies over this thing, right? And he's like, the heck is that?
Yeah.
And then turns back around and takes a picture of it and says that he thinks from the size of the picture that it was a 50-foot python.
Yes.
And that he flew so low
that
it tried to strike.
Yes.
What the plane?
It was a helicopter.
It was a helicopter. That's right.
The
helicopter he was in. Oh my goodness.
Well, and again, and the pattern is so weird, it didn't match any known snake we had on record to this day.
Well, Forrest Galante, we've mentioned him before, really cool guy.
Sure.
He probably think I'm crazy for the giant spider thing. Everybody does. But
I don't think he'd think you're crazy.
Well, that's what my wife tells me. She says I'm not crazy. She had me tested. I'm
not crazy.
Yeah, my parents
was like crazy. I was crazy once. I got locked in a room.
A rubber room.
A room full of rats.
Good grief.
Anyways, but Forrest Galante's point on this is that every other continent has some type of big snake, but we haven't found one. Haven't found one in the Congo. Every other type of type of dense forest has some type of giant snake. He said, but conveniently there isn't one there.
Will you see what's rattling on that darn air conditioner?
The rattling while y'all keep the conversation going.
It may be raining. Is it raining outside?
That's raining. That's raining outside.
Oh, well. Can you hear it? Let's see. Can you hear it in the headset?
Just a little bit.
We may have to wrap this up today. It is raining on the studio.
That's all, folks.
Well, as the storm begins, hope we've encouraged you to think a little bit and hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Lost and Stupidity Podcast. I'm your host, Turner the Burner.
I'm Will.
Thank y'all so much for listening and join us next time.